So today I am here with local farmer Jay at his family farm, who's going to talk to us a little bit more about what's growing in the fields around us. So what are you holding in your hand today, Jay?
So we have a soybean plant, and I got some seeds in my hand here to kind of give you guys a little bit of an idea. So out here in the field, this is actually 1977 my dad bought this farm. So that's a 15-acre field right there, and you can see soybeans right in front, and then way off in the distance you can see a cornfield that we actually farm as well. But yeah, so we started planting back at the beginning of May or late April, and you can start to see the crops coming up through the ground. But kind of to give you, and here comes Mother Nature with the rain, kind of give you a little bit of a background from start to finish. So these seeds here come with a special coating. So these are the ones that actually get planted in the ground, and right behind me, that's actually a corn planter, but it kind of looks similar to a bean planter. But basically, we put all these seeds in those little boxes at the end there with the John Deere logo on it, and then go through the field 5 miles an hour roughly, and they all get planted in the ground. And then while they're getting planted in the ground, there's also fertilizer tanks, and the fertilizer tanks kill weeds that are in the ground, growing in the ground right now, and then also it has like starter fertilizer to help the corn or beans kind of get a little jump start into germination, so they have a better chance of survival, if you will. But yeah, so we farm roughly 700 acres. Dad started with this first field with 15 and kind of slowly just began to grow it over the years. He's been doing it now. He started when he was 16 with some family friends, and it's been 40 plus years, 44 years, give or take. And yeah, I mean, he started from nothing. He actually had to go out and hand shuck some of the rows to get the field open back when he first started. But yeah, so anyways, so these bean plants have been in the ground, like I said, a little over a month now, and they will continue to grow, and then they will start dying, if you will, as far as probably middle of September or so. They'll start turning that golden brown. But to kind of give you a little bit of background, corn seed and bean seed's kind of like cars. So there's different car companies, GMC and Chevy and Ford and all that. It's the same thing with plants. There's a variety of different companies you can go through for brands, so Pioneer, Broadbeck, so on and so forth. And then within those companies, there's different models, or if you will, of seeds, different hybrids. So like, for example, we're in heavy clay ground, so they can develop seeds to handle the heavy clay ground. Or if you're in really sandy ground or dry ground, or it rains all the time, they have different seeds to kind of adapt to that environment. So you kind of have to just know your soil and kind of your location geographically for it to grow. But yeah, so it'll start growing, like I said, and then it'll start turning gold. And then when it starts turning gold, that means the plant's dying, and then it's starting to get dried up to where you can actually get the seeds. And then these are what will come out when we take the combine through the field. So these are actually finished soybean seeds, and you can eat them. I wouldn't sit and eat a whole bowl full of them because they're not the most tasty things you can have. But these seeds are kind of for soybean diesel fuel, so cars, to make cars go. Same thing with corn. There's ethanol plants that use that to make fuel. The big thing is for livestock. So these seeds are used to feed animals, steers, anything like that. They'll go to a feed mill and they'll mix them up with other nutrients and things like that. But when they come out of the field, we have 2 grain bins here. So the smaller grain bin was from around when I was a kid. This is our soybean grain bin, so it's a holding bin. So as it comes out of the field, we throw it in there, and then the bigger one is for corn because the corn seed's just bigger and it yields more in bushels. And a bushel would be basically like 50 to 60 pounds of the product. So 1 bushel is roughly 50 to 60 pounds. So when farmers are talking weight and things like that, or how things are going, they're always referring to a bushel amount. But and then from there it'll sit in there, and then it's kind of like the stock market. So if you ever watch the ticker on TV with the markets and like what the Dow's doing, it's the same exact thing with farming. It's just a little bit different. but things going around in the world, if everyone's getting along, or if other countries are buying up our product a lot more, it shoots the price up. If the weather's really, really good and they're thinking crops are going to yield a lot, the price will go down a little bit. So it's just kind of supply and demand, just like with the stock market. But basically what this gives us is it gives us the ability, like my dad just said earlier today, he took the last load of beans from last fall. So we've been sitting on it for a while, kind of just watching what the market does. So it's kind of a gambling game as far as just kind of guessing when to get rid of things. And sometimes you win really nice, and sometimes you lose a little bit. But that's in a nutshell, kind of going from seeds to plants to harvesting. And then harvest season's usually at the end of September to into October. If you farm thousands of acres, because there are farmers here in Indiana that farm tens of thousands of acres, they could be farming well into the end of November or early December. Usually we try and get out of the fields before any snow comes down, which is not always predictable. But yeah, I mean, so harvest season's my favorite part of the process, just because it can be in the combine and have some music going on and just driving down the field. So
cool, awesome. That's so fascinating. And with all the rain that's coming this weekend, how does that affect the crops? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, so the farmers are all, we always, it can rain too much or it's not raining enough. There's never a happy medium. But honestly, this year, with how we got the crops in early and getting the perfect amount of rain, it's really, really prime growing weather right now. Now, we can come over here if you want. Now this weekend, it's supposed to rain several inches. Flooding rain is not always good. The crops are mature enough where they can withstand some heavy winds or heavy rain. But if you get low spots in the field, it can flood it out and basically stunt the plant's growth. So there might be, I know for sure we have low spots. Like when we go to harvest, this might be as tall as what the plant might get, and it won't really yield anything. But yeah, I mean, you kind of want to take rain in small doses over a long period of time. But where we live, June is usually a heavy rain month, and then once July gets here, it kind of goes dry for a while. So July is usually for us the tall tale month as far as what we're going to have in the fall when we go to harvest.